The CFP education requirement is the most expensive part of certification. With most programs costing $5,000 to $6,000, it's no joke. In this video, I'm going to share the biggest mistake that working professionals make when selecting a program, reveal 4 critical truths about the CFP required coursework, and break down the most popular online programs to help you find the right choice for your situation. Let's start with truth number 1. Reddit doesn't have much to say about education programs. And when I say Reddit, I really mean the CFP candidate community. If you're new to financial planning or you work at a firm where you're the only one under 35, chances are Reddit is your go-to place for unfiltered advice and real experiences. But here's the thing. Unlike, say, exam prep, there's a notable silence when it comes to education programs. Try searching CFP education or CFP coursework on Reddit and you'll find nothing. The few recommendations you do find often lack context or detail. By the way, if you do see someone ever recommending a program, be sure to click through their history to see if they have any connections to that provider. Now, if there is one piece of advice Reddit does give around coursework, it's this. Go with the cheapest option, get through it as quickly as you can, and get serious when it's exam prep time. Which feels, unsatisfactory. Why spend well over $5,000 just to click through material as quickly as possible? Especially when you consider what the CFP coursework actually involves. I mean, it's substantial. We're talking about 7 to 8 classes plus a capstone project where you'll be developing a mock financial plan. You're looking at 10 to 15 hours per week of studying for the next 9 to 12 months. That's essentially a part-time job on top of your full-time job. So there's got to be more nuanced advice, which is why I interviewed a handful of candidates to understand how they chose their CFP program and what they wish they did differently. Here's what I learned. First, consider your specific career situation. If you're in between jobs and you want to take this opportunity to fast-track your certification, that's one thing to consider. Or if you're working full-time while pursuing your CFP, well, that situation demands a different approach. If you're between jobs, you might want to prioritize a self-paced program so you can complete it quickly. But if you're working full-time, especially in a demanding role, you need to be realistic about your bandwidth. So ask yourself, are you someone who needs the structure and accountability of live coursework, whether it's in person or online? Or would you benefit from more flexibility because you've got big life events coming up, like a baby or busy season at work, that makes sticking to a fixed schedule difficult? Finally, consider your employer's involvement. Does your firm have a tradition of sending employees to a specific program? Is your employer paying for your education? If they are, their recommendation carries more weight beyond just the financial aspect. There might be internal support systems for specific programs. Your colleagues might have experience with it and can offer guidance, or maybe your firm has established relationships with instructors. I recently talked to a candidate whose firm sends all of their associate planners to the local university for evening classes. Because all of their colleagues had highly recommended the professors, they decided to go with in-person classes as well. Which brings me to truth number 2. In-person education actually makes sense for some people. Despite the convenience of online programs, in-person education can be the right choice for several scenarios. In-person classes provide more shared experiences and networking opportunities. That's what the candidate I previously mentioned found. The in-person program was geared towards working professionals, so there are no college students. And the dozen or so advisors who went through the program did all their classes together, so that by the end of the 18 months, they knew each other quite well. Plus, with in-person programs, you're not just building relationships with your fellow students, you're also more likely to get to know the instructors and the local professionals who guest lecture. Who knows, they might refer you to a role or become a future colleague. In-person classes might also make sense if you've got kids, especially small ones. Physically removing yourself from the house can dramatically improve your focus and productivity. It's much harder for family members to interrupt you when you're not there. I've heard about candidates who tell me that the structure of going to class, without that, they simply wouldn't have made progress with a baby at home. Finally, in-person classes provide built-in accountability. When you have to show up at a specific time and place, there's pressure to be prepared and engaged. For many people, this external structure is essential for success. Several candidates I talked to who did online programs told me that they would get into a groove of classes only to have vacations or holidays come around and knock them off their routine. It took them months to get back online. And that simply doesn't happen when you have to show up in a classroom. Of course, in-person programs do have limitations. Despite hundreds of colleges offering CFP accredited classes, you might not live near a program. And even if you do, classes might not be offered during certain times of day, or not all classes may be available each term. So scheduling is a lot less flexible than online. However, if your firm supports a longer timeline for certification, for example, you're not required to get certified within 2 to 3 years, the scheduling constraints might not be problematic. You can take your time to absorb material or simply take the time you need to fit coursework around your client work. Now, if in-person sounds right for you, the CFP board has a website that you can search for accredited programs near you. I'll stick it in the link in the description. Now, before we look at the major online education providers, take a second to hit the like button. This is a new channel, and every like helps other aspiring advisors find this information too. So if in-person classes are not right for you, let's look at the top online programs. The American College for Financial Services is a for-profit company based in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. They've got an array of financial planning designations, including the CFP. Among the most popular online programs, they're unique in that they're the only ones that offer a self-study program, so no instructor-led ones. While not mentioned on their website, I suspect they, like all the other self-study programs, deliver the curriculum through online text only, with the ability to reach out via email to instructors with questions. The second program is BIF. Now, this is popular for its lower price point. They offer both self-study as well as instructor-led courses. Live classes are held online weekly for 9 months, starting in January, April, and September. Interestingly, as of time of filming, BIF is running a discount where the instructor-led program is basically the same price as their self-study. The next program is Dalton. Dalton claims to educate nearly half of all CFP candidates. They offer a self-study program as well as instructor-led. The live classes are held online weekly for 10 months, with programs starting every other month. Dalton, like most programs, partners with universities to accredit their coursework. But from what I understand, the university partner really doesn't matter for online programming. Clients never ask, and even when you're going through hiring interviews, it's not a question that comes up. Next up, we have Danko. Danko is the opposite of the American College in that it's the only provider offering instructor-led classes only. The fast track is 7 months with monthly classes. So students meet on Zoom for full days on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, plus a half-day Saturday once a month. Given its speed, this program is generally geared towards folks who already have some sort of finance background. You also have the option to audit classes if you need a refresher, or if you're an accelerated path candidate, for example, looking to round out some of your knowledge. The program is offered 3 times a year. And lastly, we have Kaplan. They offer 3 levels of classes: text-based self-study, pre-recorded video, and live instruction. They're also unique in that they offer different pricing for purchasing all the classes at once or a slightly higher class-by-class price. Surprisingly, Kaplan's courses are some of the most expensive, whereas their exam review is often the most budget-friendly. Now, you'll find that some of these programs offer for you to purchase the education and exam prep at the same time, sometimes at a discount, sometimes not, which leads me to my third truth. Seriously consider not bundling education and exam prep. While bundling might seem convenient and sometimes cost-effective, there are strategic advantages to keeping coursework and exam prep separate. Unless you've already taken classes from these providers, it's risky to commit to a bundled package up front. What if you could decide that the education program just isn't the right style for your learning? That's exactly what happened to a candidate I spoke with. He purchased Kaplan's coursework and exam prep bundle, but halfway through, he found himself drowning in all the details, a common issue that candidates report with Kaplan. At exam time, he was overwhelmed and he failed. For his second attempt, he invested his own money in Danko's program. The program's pragmatic approach to test taking was exactly what he needed, and he passed. Now, I'm not telling this story to tell you that everyone should choose Danko. Rather, it shows that different providers excel at different stages. And if you're new to finance, a more academically inclined program like Dalton or the local university might be perfect for learning the material, but then when exam time comes, a more test-focused program like Danko might be your best option for success. The cost-benefit analysis is important here. While bundling with American or Dalton can save you $1,000, you may end up spending all that money you saved when you have to retake the exam. Not to mention, you've lost 3 to 6 months of additional study time and potentially career advancement delays. So ask yourself, do you know exactly how you learn best under pressure? Because the CFP exam is definitely a pressure situation. And if you're not 100% confident, keep your options open. That might be the smarter choice. And this brings me to my final truth, which completely shifts how you should think about your education investment. So far, we've been discussing coursework and exam prep as major milestones, but there's a bigger picture to consider. Truth number 4, CFP education is just one step in your professional development. The required coursework is the beginning of your learning journey, not the destination. Your CFP education provides a foundation across all the major financial planning topics, but that's all it is, a foundation. Throughout your career, you're going to be building on this in different ways. Let me ask you this. Where do you see yourself in 5 years after getting your CFP? Are you specializing in tax planning, estate planning, investment management? The areas you specialize in will get deeper attention through additional certifications or specialized training, while other areas will remain foundation level. And that's perfectly fine. This perspective should liberate you from the pressure many candidates feel to master every single detail during their initial education. That approach often leads to burnout and slows down your process. Instead, view your education pragmatically. It's about establishing enough understanding to pass the exam and begin your career, not about becoming an expert in every domain. Now, once you've picked your coursework provider, start thinking about when you'll take the exam. Watch this video next where I go over the pros and cons of each of the exam cycles. I'll see you in the next video.